All right, so using a timetable has got me straight A pluses for the last 3.5 years of my engineering studies, and I didn't need to sacrifice time in the gym or in my relationships for that. Using a timetable is one of the single most effective tools you can use as a student to actually get the things done that you want to get done. So in this video, I'm going to show you why it's so important to timetable and how you can do that in just a few minutes a day. So why should you actually timetable? A lot of people, when they see my schedule, they tell me that they could never do that they can't do a timetable or they can't do a schedule because they need the freedom and the flexibility, or they want the freedom and the flexibility to actually do the things that they want to do when they want to do that. But to that, I would say that, a timetable doesn't stop you from doing the things that you want to do. A timetable is actually the thing that's going to let you do what you want to do. And it's going to let you do what you want to do when you want to do that. So for example, just think about two students who both want to go to the gym 5 times a week. One student's got a timetable and one student doesn't have a timetable. So this guy is relying on his timetable to get him to the gym 5 times a week. And this guy is relying on kind of whatever he's feeling like in the moment, right? So the one who's got the timetable, it says every day from 11 to 1, he's going to the gym. And so this is going to provide accountability for this student to go to the gym, because every time at 11 o'clock he checks his notes and it says he's supposed to go to the gym. So of course he could still skip it and not go, but there's accountability there in writing it down, in writing down when he's going to go to the gym. It provides more incentive for him to actually go. And there's time budgeted for it, so it becomes a lot easier for that student to just go and execute and go to the gym. But for the other student who doesn't have that time planned, it's not the same, right? Because if this student isn't feeling like going to the gym at, let's say, 11 a.m. when he planned on going, okay? If he's not feeling like going at 11, he doesn't need to go because he didn't tell himself that he's going to go at 11. But if he doesn't want to go at 11, this can just get pushed back later and later and later in the day, and then it just doesn't happen, right? So the student who used the timetable is actually the student who got to do what he wanted to do, because this student wanted to go to the gym 5 times a week, and this student wanted to go to the gym 5 times a week, but it's only the student who had the timetable that actually got to do what they wanted to do. So when people say that they don't want a timetable because they instead want the freedom and the flexibility to do what they want, it is just not a strong argument, because we know that the student with the timetable is the one who's actually going to get to go to the gym 5 times a week. This student, some weeks maybe he feels he's really motivated and he's going to go 7 times a week, but other weeks it might only be 2, other weeks it might only be 1, especially if exams comes up and things get busy. There's nothing that's keeping the student in the gym. It's all dependent on what he feels like. But for this student, there is stuff keeping him in the gym because he has the accountability and he has that consistency built into his schedule that makes it more encouraging for him to get in there. And it's not just in the gym. Suppose you want to see your friends twice a week. Which student is going to be more likely to be able to do that? The one with a timetable or the one without? The one with timetable is going to be more likely to be on top of their schedule, have their work done because they had time budgeted to do that. And suppose they got a test next week, they can prepare in advance and they can get the work done earlier so that when the weekend comes, they actually have that time to spend with their friends. But the student without the timetable is more likely to slip up on their classes and be unprepared for that test. And so because they didn't adequately prepare the week before, now when the weekend comes, they got to pull like all-nighters to actually study for this test, and they can't hang out with their friends like they wanted to. So timetable is not taking away your freedom at all. It's giving you that freedom to do exactly what you want to do and when you want to do it. And so I gave examples about the gym and about friends, but the same thing applies with pretty much everything, like with your coursework. Suppose you have a test to study for, right? Let's say you've got 3 days to study for it. The one student with a timetable can have time budgeted today to do, 2 hours for a practice test, and then another 2 hours later of doing review for a certain chapter. They're going to be more prepared and less stressed when the exam comes up, compared to the student who didn't have a timetable. And any prep that they planned on doing can just get pushed back and back until, it's the night before the exam and they got to cram everything now. Can you see how by not planning the work, it becomes that much harder to actually do it? Like if you don't have a plan to do the work, or you don't even know what work you're going to do, it becomes so much harder to do it because you have nothing compelling you to do that work. You don't have a time plan. You don't even know what, you're going to do at that time when it comes to study for the exam. You don't have that planned. Relying on what you feel like doing in the moment just decreases the chances of you actually getting the work done. Sometimes I might wake up in the morning and I'll feel like doing 5 hours straight of work, but sometimes I don't. And so I can't rely on that spontaneity, that one day where I was going to do 5 hours to actually get my work done. Because in school and in life, you can't just always rely on doing what you feel like doing in the moment, because a lot of the time what you feel like doing in the moment is not actually what you want to do. It just is like the easier task. You need the consistency, and that consistency comes from a timetable. So that's why a timetable is so good, because it's exactly what's going to let you do what you want to do. It doesn't take away your freedom. It just gives you the opportunity to do exactly what you want to do and not be so susceptible to getting drawn into doing what you feel like in the moment, because it provides accountability. Now, a lot of people actually ask, how do you stay 100% on your schedule or on your timetable? And to that, I would say you definitely don't need to. Think about it like this. Even if you get 50% of your timetable done, that's going to be a lot more than how much you would have got done alternatively without your timetable. Plus, you get better. You start at only getting 20% of your day done. Maybe it's just the morning routine. Maybe it's just the morning routine and the first work block. But eventually that's going to improve. It takes time, right? So you'll be starting with getting 20% of your work day done, and then 30, 40, 50, 60. And eventually you're going to be sitting at 70 or 80%. And at this point, you're pretty set. Like 70 or 80%, that's a really high amount of work to be getting done. That's powerful. You can get a lot done by getting 80% of your planned day done. And also, don't force yourself to stay on the schedule if things come up that you legitimately want to do. Like if you haven't seen your friends in a while and they want to go grab lunch, go and do it. If that's what you want to do, go and do it. Because as a student, the things that you want to do are always going to come up. And so you shouldn't force yourself to stay on the schedule if you feel like you're actually going to miss out on something that you would legitimately want to do. Because in reality, what's the schedule there for? What's the timetable there for? It's there to let you do the things that you want to do, the things that you actually want to do, not what you felt like doing. And so if something comes up that you want to do, I'm not going to sit here and tell you, don't do it. You should stick to the schedule. The schedule is going to let you do what you want to do. Like, no, that's stupid. There's something here that you want to do. Just because it's not on the schedule doesn't mean you shouldn't do it. The whole point in the schedule was so you can do the things you want to do. So in this situation, the thing you want to do is right in front of you. So go and do it. Now, the only caveat there is that you want to make sure that what you're drifting from your schedule for is for something that's valuable and for something that you actually want to do and not something you just feel like doing. So for example, like you might be studying and you see your phone, your notification go off and you're going to grab your phone and you're going to start scrolling. And you might argue that, hey, didn't you just say it's okay to drift from your schedule if it's for something that you want to do? And I would argue that, you probably didn't actually want to go on your phone. So you shouldn't drift from your schedule for that. You wouldn't have actually planned at, 3:33 during the day when you're supposed to be studying to instead pick up your phone and start scrolling on Instagram. Okay. It's not something that you would have actually wanted to do. You just felt like doing it because it's easy, it's habitual, and the phone was in front of you. So be careful when you're straying from your schedule because, it's not the end of the world if you stray away from it for something that you want to do. But you should make sure it's something that you want to do and not something that you just felt like doing. And so that's going to take some intuition to get used to say, is it something I want to do? Is it something I feel like doing? But with time, you can build that intuition and you can make better decisions with how you're going to stray from your schedule. So don't aim for 100% because the timetable is there as a guide and it's trying to guide you to help you do more of what you want. If you expect to be doing 100% every day, you're going to be disappointed because in reality, that's very, very, very challenging to do exactly what you wanted to do hour by hour for every day. That's pretty hard. And you're just going to end the day feeling disappointed because you had like one task that wasn't done. But what you need to see is that compare yourself to, 3 months ago when you didn't use the timetable. Like 3 months ago, you were only getting 1 or 2 of your tasks done out of call it 6. And now out of the 6, you only have 1 or 2 left. You got to think about it like this because there's a lot of progress there. And there's a huge difference in what you're getting done. If every day you're expecting to get 100% and you end the day not getting that 100% and you're feeling bad about it, that's just going to be super bad for your mental. I've been doing this for 3.5, 4 years and I still very rarely actually get to check off every single box that I plan for in the day. There's always 1 or 2 at the end of the day that don't get done because something came up or something took longer than planned. Trust me when I say you should not be aiming for 100%. Just keep building it up and up and up until you're at a point where you're happy with how much you get done and you feel good at the end of the day because you're productive and you're getting stuff that you want to do done. Okay, so with all that discussed about the actual benefits of timetabling, here is a quick step-by-step tutorial about how you can do it in just a few minutes a night. So every night, you're just going to take your notes app and you lay out hour by hour what you plan to do during the day. And you start right when you wake up. So, you might have at 6:30 a.m., wake up, 7 a.m., go to school, 8 a.m., class 1, 9 a.m., class 2, 10 a.m., gym, and on and on and on. And you go to the end of the night. And a good practice to do when you're making your schedule is to schedule things at times that you typically like to do it. So for example, I really like going to the gym at 11 a.m. because that's when all my friends are there. That's when I can see people, talk to people, and hit a good workout. So I wouldn't go and schedule my gym workout at 4 p.m. because it's not when I like to go to the gym. I schedule it at a time that I like to, and this will just help you stick to the schedule better because you're scheduling things at times that you already like to do it. Then as you go through your day, you can just check your notes app and check things off as you complete them. If things change, that's okay. Things come up, you just adjust and move on. And having this timetable with you should help you stay on track with doing the things that you want to do. You can always just check it and say, hey, it's 9 o'clock now. What am I doing next hour? 10 o'clock. Okay, I'm going to the gym. or whatever it may be. And this should help hold yourself accountable because you have that written there. This is what you intended on doing. And so you have that little extra incentive to actually do it. Now, one thing you may have noticed is I said to write down your schedule the day before or the night before. And this is because a lot of people will tell you to do your schedule the morning of, but I think this is bad because it kind of leaves you susceptible to doing things that you feel like doing, which is kind of what we're trying to stray away from. We want to do things we want to do, not things that we feel like doing. In the morning, you're more likely to not write down the 9 a.m. gym session because maybe you're tired, maybe you didn't have the perfect sleep, so you're not going to plan that gym session. But if you had planned it the night before, that gym session is already in there, and so you're less likely to skip it. So I would definitely avoid doing the morning planning for the day because I think you have a much better mindset the night before. You have a much better prediction of what you can actually get done during the day than the morning of, where what you put in the timetable is going to be more susceptible to what you're feeling like in that moment. So that's it. It should take you 5 minutes before you go to bed, and it's going to save you a lot during the next day. It's going to save you from decisions. It's going to save you energy because you are spending less time and less energy deciding on what to do and just putting that time and energy into actually doing it. And this is good because executing is what actually gets you results. You don't gain benefits from thinking about tasks and planning them. You only get benefits from actually doing them. And so we're just trying to make doing the actual things a lot easier. Like to do well on a test, you need to actually study for that test. You don't need to think about the test. To build muscle in the gym, you don't need to think about building muscle in the gym. You need to just go to the gym and work out. And so the timetable should just make the execution of these things a lot easier. So you can actually do the task instead of thinking about what task to do or thinking about when you're going to do the task or how you're going to do the task. Your brain can just be on autopilot. And as you get used to it, you're going to build a routine and it's going to become effortless. You're going to go to the gym at this time. You're going to eat at this time. You're going to study at this time. And all of a sudden, you're just always spending time on the things that are actually valuable to do. You're always putting a couple hours a day into your school and you're always going to the gym and you're always being able to spend time with friends. And all that takes is 5 minutes a day. So that's it. And I hope that you can take what I've talked about here and that it can help you in your life.